I want to talk to you about FedEx versus UPS this year, which is really better. Let's talk about that. So, I want to give you first a comparative analysis. The thing is that when you are thinking about FedEx or UPS, I want you to think about equivalence. In other words, both are reliable shipping solutions with a slew of services. You have all kinds of services depending on the goals you are trying to reach. Okay. And so, one thing for sure, UPS specializes in domestic ground package delivery and has a larger fleet of ground vehicles than FedEx. That's for sure. And both UPS and FedEx ground deliver to every state in less than a week. So I'm speaking here about every state, including Hawaii and Alaska. Okay. So if you are new to the world of shipping, UPS and FedEx probably look the same to you, right? Both are express couriers that offer better tracking and faster service than governmental services such as USPS. Okay. Still, these two are competitors. When it comes to scalability, when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to operational like appropriateness. Okay. So in today's conversation, I want to really talk about cost. So is FedEx or UPS shipping cheaper? I want to speak about speed, which offers a faster delivery time. So if you close your eyes and think about FedEx versus UPS, which one should you go for? Which is also more reliable? Okay, it's one of those things where you want to have a clear idea of what the best services are. You can also push the analysis a little further. You can think about cross country domestic shipping between cities and compare and contrast FedEx and UPS. You can think about cross country domestic shipping between rural areas. Okay, also, so you have a clear idea if your specific geography is being served properly. You can also think about short distances. So is FedEx better than UPS over short distances? Also, when it comes to shipping internationally, you can also think about the best options for you. The one thing for sure, you got to really ask yourself what kind of niche you're in, what kind of economic sector you are actually operating in. And if you are a business, of course, but if you're an individual, if you're doing D2C or B2C or D2C, then you have to see which of the two actually offers the best for you. I want to dig a little deeper when it comes to the differences. So when you think about FedEx versus UPS versus FedEx, the differences are kind of critical. I mean, before I even speak about the exact prices, I want to really I want to explain to you how each of those services differ in their approach to service. It's important that you have a clear idea here. Okay, so UPS specializes in domestic ground package delivery and has a larger fleet of ground vehicles. I think I've said this before, but I want to insist on that. So that's for UPS, that's the specialty, that's the forte of UPS. What about FedEx? Well, FedEx specializes in global air express freight and has double the airplanes as UPS. This suggests that FedEx should actually offer cheaper rates on international shipping and UPS better rates on domestic. Okay, and both companies offer a range of shipping services at various speeds and prices, from ground to overnight and flat rate services. And both companies have physical store locations around the US, though FedEx has far more, especially this year. And during COVID, they were actually opening new stores like crazy. And UPS also offers a supply chain and freight services like supply chain management, customs brokerage, and freight distribution. This means that UPS can be a partner as you scale into global e-commerce sales. And so that's for UPS, and they're really kicking ass like crazy, and that's really fantastic. It's good. It's good to see. FedEx on its side actually has partnered with the U.S. Postal Service, the USPS, for many e-commerce shipments. So FedEx handles most of the shipment transport via jet, then hands off the last mile delivery to USPS for final delivery. And so this helps FedEx reduce cost and accelerate delivery times for domestic shipping. So that's kind of cool. And so for the specific case of comparing and contrasting, let's say both companies, you gotta really ask yourself once again, what's the size? I'll speak about the size later on, but you gotta ask yourself what's the size and what's the shipping geography that you are actually what's the shipping target here? So let's talk about the services here. When you actually are comparing and contrasting FedEx and UPS, you want to first talk about the ground services. I want to compare and contrast the ground services, okay? And so FedEx ground versus UPS ground. So both services offer ground-based shipping within the domestic US. And so here is how they really compare. One thing for sure is that when you think about the FedEx ground service details, I want you to really think about delivery lead times between 1 to 5 business days within the contiguous U.S. I'm speaking here about what continental U.S. So this excludes actually Hawaii and Alaska, and so that's 1 to 5 days, okay. And you have a 3 to 7 business days for Hawaii and Alaska. So this is something to really think about. And FedEx ground service actually delivers Monday through Friday. They do not actually deliver on the weekend or on holidays. So this could be a little problematic if you are, let's say, waiting for your goods as soon as possible. But hey, listen, it is what it is. So there is no weekend delivery. There's no holiday delivery, and the weight limit is actually 150 pounds. So if you are overseas, that's about 68 kilos. Okay, and the length limit is 108 inches. So you are looking at 274 centimeters and 130 inches for girth. So 130 inches, you are speaking about 330 centimeters. So something to really think about. Okay. So long story short, you have a pretty reliable, pretty remarkable service. And so FedEx ground service actually guarantees delivery. So that's kind of cool. And packages are insured up to $100. And you have several capabilities, including package tracking. So if you want to use FedEx ground service, you want to really think about the geography of the intended recipients. You want to think about the insurance. You want to think about the value. If you are shipping high value items, maybe it's just better to go for don't go for FedEx ground service, but you want to go for another type of FedEx ground service, really. Okay. And if of course, you want to be able to track your packages, especially when this tracking involves last mile. I want to talk to you now about UPS ground service details. I mean, I just finished talking to you about FedEx ground service details. Let's now talk about UPS ground service details. When you think about UPS ground service, I want you to think about a service that delivers within 1 to 6 days within all 50 U.S. states. So for UPS, there is no contiguous U.S. versus like Alaska and Hawaii. For all 50 states, you are looking at 1 to 6 days. So you can see that right off the bat, FedEx seems to be a little better than UPS, right? Because FedEx will give you 1 to 3 days, and 3 to 7 days if we are in Alaska and Hawaii. But UPS covers all 50 states from 1 to 6 days. And UPS actually has UPS delivery, UPS ground service delivers Monday through Friday. So similar to FedEx, there is no weekend delivery. Also, there are no holiday deliveries as well. And the weight limits here, you have 150 pounds. So it's sort of similar to what FedEx has. So 150 pounds. So you are looking at 68 kilos. So, and UPS ground service actually guarantees delivery. So that's important. And also similar to FedEx, you have $100 maximum insurance. So that's kind of cool, especially when it comes to helping you helping you get the visibility that you need in the first place. Okay. And of course, you have package tracking. So you can see that basically the big takeaway here is what? Both UPS and FedEx ground deliver to every state in less than a week. Delivery times are comparable, come with a guarantee, and include tracking. Okay. So this is important. And during COVID, they actually have halted their delivery guarantees until the end of COVID related restrictions, because those guarantees, they couldn't really do anything about it when everybody was stranded, everybody was home, and there was no guarantee about global commerce. I mean, but for 2 to 3 years, they actually halted the delivery guarantees. But now, we are in a post-COVID world. Things went back to normal, and FedEx and UPS actually have gone back to their guarantees. So I want to talk to you about cost here. So when you consider UPS versus FedEx, which is cheaper? Which is cheaper, really? Okay. Now it really depends. Okay, and it depends on domestic shipping. It depends on international shipping. It depends on the distance. It depends also on the geography that you are covering. Okay, but overall, when you think about the UPS versus FedEx in terms of domestic shipping, you can see that UPS is how do I say it? UPS is cheaper for domestic. Okay, like UPS next day air early, or like when you compare that service to a first overnight, you can see that the UPS is actually cheaper. When you actually think about the priority overnight versus UPS next day air saver, you can still see that UPS is cheaper. Okay, when you have 2 day 2 a.m. for instance, you can see that UPS once again is cheaper. So long story short, the let's say the theme that really comes out after our investigations is that UPS is generally cheaper. Okay, both companies offer similar time-sensitive services at very similar example rates. However, FedEx rates are actually more expensive than UPS for domestic city-to-city shipping. And so this is kind of important to really think about. And one thing you also want to pay attention to also, it depends on the bulkiness of your shipment. This will play an important role in your overall cost. So when sending a small package in the U.S., FedEx shipping provides cheaper rates if you are paying retail prices. But if you actually use a third-party service, UPS will have a better rates. Okay, so this is important to really think about. What about domestic rates between rural areas? So basically, the thing is that when you think about rural areas, you can see that this is an area where FedEx, once again, is actually, I mean, relatively cheaper, if you will. Okay. For instance, when you do a UPS next day air versus a first FedEx first overnight, you can see that UPS is more expensive. Okay. It's one of those things where you have to really think about. Well, one thing for sure is that when you think about rural areas, you got to really ask yourself what kind of first mile, last mile, or middle mile solution that either FedEx or DHL or UPS offer, really, because you always have to think about the backup. Okay, and so rates over short distances are also in favor of in favor of UPS, by the way. And in most cases, FedEx does a better job when it comes to priority overnight or but also first overnight. So that's something to really think about, especially in the long run. I want to talk to you about shipping internationally. So let's talk about international rates. Okay, UPS versus FedEx shipping internationally. So when you compare and contrast UPS versus FedEx, which one is cheaper, really? Well, one thing for sure, when you compare, for instance, UPS Worldwide Express to FedEx International First, you can see that FedEx is actually more expensive. When you compare and contrast UPS Worldwide Express Plus to a FedEx International Priority, you can see here that UPS is more expensive. And when you actually think about the UPS Worldwide Expedited versus FedEx International Economy, you can see that FedEx International Economy is cheaper. Okay, here for Worldwide Expedited, you're looking at the 3 to 4 business days. For International Economy, for on FedEx side, you have 4 to 6 business days. So you can see that overall, it's a matter of how fast you want the shipment to happen. I mean to happen. Okay, so you're paying for speed, really. So with the exception of FedEx International First service, FedEx actually again has slightly cheaper rates than UPS. However, it appears that UPS shipping offers one more service than FedEx International Shipping does in our investigation. So it's one of those things where you have to, when sending a small package internationally, FedEx, for the most part, provides cheaper rates if you are paying retail prices. And if you use actually a third party service, then FedEx may have better rates than UPS. But the bottom line here is what? Bottom line is you got to really test out either service rather, and see which one really fits within your operational construct because every company, every individual, every shipper has a different sort of different set of objectives, and what UPS or FedEx is proposing must actually match your operations. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. Okay, this is an important element to think about. So what's the bottom line here? When you actually compare and contrast UPS versus FedEx, which is really the best here? I mean, what is the takeaway here? Well, the thing is that when you actually look at UPS and FedEx, you can see that both players have similar rates, delivery speeds, reliability, and service options. Okay, so if you were to choose a winner based on retail rates, FedEx wins in all let's say categories. However, if you go with a third party shipping partner, UPS has more favorable rates with the exception of shipping internationally. So FedEx still had the cheaper rates on international air freights. So it's one of those things where you got to really ask yourself if you plan on shipping something that is 2 pounds domestically using a medium sized box, UPS would give you a better rate than FedEx. Okay, rates actually drop dramatically. Let's see, at the second day mark here, when you are let's say shipping domestically. If you need to send something right away, but the overnight rates are too high, second day is your best bet, especially if you are thinking about your cash inflows and cash outflows from a scalability point of view. So when deciding between the two, UPS or FedEx, it may come down to the number of services offered for your route, your specific route, or the timing that you need your package delivered, right? And this has an element of geography. One thing for sure is that you can really actually, I think I've said this before, but you can always rely on a third party shipping partner to kind of help you out because shipping is actually a business. And shipping, if you think that you have to run your business per se, it's better to outsource that operation to a third party. Then this can be Ship Bob, this could be Easy Ship, this can be it can be any kind of shipping partner, okay, to kind of help you out because it's all about making sure that you are streamlining operations down the road. That's what you want. So, long story short, in terms of reliability, FedEx or UPS, basically, both are reliable. I mean, reliability is actually a service feature that you pay extra for, right? But one thing for sure, when you think about UPS or FedEx, they both offer package tracking, insurance, and delivery guarantees on most, if not all, of their services. FedEx specializes in international air freight, and so it might be a better choice for overseas shipping. UPS is a domestic shipping specialist and might prove to be more reliable within the US. So, this is something to really think about, especially from a long term perspective. So, when it comes to large international packages, FedEx is better than UPS, that's for sure. FedEx specializes in international air freight, while UPS focuses in efforts on domestic shipping. So both couriers set a weight limit of 150 pounds for international shipments. So exceeding this weight will result in additional fees from either courier. So this is something to really think about. So here are my closing arguments. When you think about FedEx versus UPS in today's conversation, I spoke to you about the services, the costs, the international rates, the bottom line, and now the closing arguments. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.